Imagine a time when you could buy your dream muscle car with tons of power and style for a bargain price. That was the late 1960s when American automakers were locked in a fierce war for speed and glory. It was the golden age of muscle cars, and 1968 was one of its most epic chapters. In this video, we'll take a look at the quickest muscle cars of 1968 and how much they cost then, and how much they cost now. Get ready for some eye-popping colors, sleek fastbacks, and stonkin' wild engines that will make you wish for a time machine. Trust us, you don't want to miss this one. Closely resembling the Roadrunner, the GTX was Plymouth's upscale version of its B-body offerings. If the standard 440 cubic inch Super Commando V8 wasn't potent enough for you, a 426 cubic inch 425 horsepower Hemi could be optioned to get us to the number 10 position on our list. Only 446 performance fanatics did just that in 1968 and got themselves a Plymouth that could tear up the quarter mile in 13.8 seconds at 104 miles per hour. Advertising for the GTX back then called it the Boss to convey its luxurious appeal, muscular styling, and potent performance characteristics. It was priced higher than the Roadrunner to reflect its luxury and performance features, and was one of the most expensive Plymouths available at the time. In 1968, it cost about $4,200, which is peanuts compared to what you'd pay now. If it's a Hemi GTX that you desire today, be prepared to part with around $181,000 at auction to land one of these beauties. In 1968, Chevrolet was riding high with the popularity of its super sport performance trim levels that was offered for many of its car models. The redesign for 1968 Nova was even invited to the SS party and could be optioned with two different beastly 396 cubic inch engines, a 350 horsepower version and a 375 horsepower version. At number 9 in our roundup is the Nova SS with the L78 375 horsepower 396 cubic inch engine. If ordered correctly, the Nova SS could be configured from the factory as a potent drag racing foe with a Muncie M21 4-speed transmission, 488 positraction rear differential, heavy-duty cooling, and radio and carpet delete. It would take only 13.85 seconds at 104 miles per hour to hustle down the quarter mile, right from the factory. That performance potential was a relative bargain in 1968, costing only about $3,500 to get into an L78 SS. They're a little more costly these days, requiring about $110,000 to take home one of these rare gems. Aimed at its market competitor, the Plymouth Roadrunner, the Mercury Cyclone GT with the 428 Cobra Jet engine crosses the line at number 8 on our list. But in 1968, it crossed the line in first place at the Daytona 500, driven by Cale Yarborough. It looks plenty speedy with its fastback posterior and racy GT stripes and badging. The 428 cubic inch Cobra Jet engine was brand new for 1968 and included performance cylinder heads, camshaft, intake and exhaust manifolds, and a dual-feed Holley carburetor to help you achieve those 8 miles per gallon in the city that you always dreamed about. The payoff for putting up with its drinking habit was its blistering quarter-mile speed of 13.84 seconds at 101.7 miles per hour. As it was a Mercury, it was a bit pricey in 1968 at about $4,700 for the GT with the Cobra Jet engine. They're very rare, and finding one for sale is a stroke of luck, but when they do appear, they usually go for around $102,000 and would make a unique addition to someone's collection. Appearing at number 7 on our list is the Pontiac Firebird 400 with the Ram Air 2 engine, with only 110 iterations produced. They called it the Ram Air because of its cold air induction system that allowed it to gulp outside air through its hood vents directly into the carburetor. The $630 Ram Air 2 was an option for the 400 cubic inch engine that included round port cylinder heads, a high lift cam, forged pistons, and other internal engine performance and durability enhancing components. Interestingly, the engine was only rated at 340 horsepower, but could be increased to 366 horsepower by removing a tab on the throttle linkage that limited the carburetor's secondary opening to only 90% of maximum. Pontiac did this to ensure horsepower ratings on the Firebird complied with GM's 10-to-1 weight to horsepower ratio at the time. With all its horses unbridled, the Firebird could gallop through the quarter mile in 13.79 seconds at 106 miles per hour. Optioned this way with the Ram Air 2 engine package, it would have cost about $3,700 in 1968, with auction prices averaging around $167,000 and escalating nowadays. Some called the Mercury Cougar an upscale and more expensive Mustang, as it was based on the Mustang platform with a 3-inch longer wheelbase and featured its own unique body panels. Engine choices were similar as well, with the top dog 428 cubic inch R-Code engine offered in the Cougar during the last 4 months of the model year. At number 6 on our list is the Cougar GTE with the R-Code 428, combining comfort, style, and get up and go. It could make a meal out of the quarter mile in 13.7 seconds at 103 miles per hour. Known as the gentleman's muscle car, the Cougar, equipped with the 428, was for those with a healthy wallet who wanted some class with their dash. In 1968, a Cougar GTE with the 428 engine would set you back about $4,200. As they are rare with only 37 of them produced that year, today at auction, this car would hoover up about $175,000 from your wallet. Here's an understated ride from 1968 at number 5 on our list that wasn't intended to be a muscle car, as they were typically purchased for fleets, such as for taxicab or police duty. The 1968 Chevrolet Biscayne with the L72 427 cubic inch 425 horsepower engine is the poster child for an unassuming sleeper car. It looks innocuous enough with its minimalist exterior and interior accoutrements, but look closer and you'll see the 427 badges on the fenders that give away the lethality of this bare-bones, just the basics rocket sled. And quick it is, with a quarter mile disappearing behind it in only 13.65 seconds at 105 miles per hour. Not bad for a full-size Chevy. There were only less than 168 Biscaynes ordered with the L72 and cost about $3,700 when new. Even finding one these days is difficult, but when they do come up at auction, they go for around $100,000 to procure an all-original example. 1968 was a huge year for refreshed body styles, and landing at number 4 is the updated Chevrolet Chevelle SS, with its curvier sculpted lines and long hood short deck aesthetic that makes it appear as if it were in perpetual ticket-getting mode. This SS was super special, as only 7 were built with the little-known L89 engine option. For an extra $900 in 1968, you could get a 375 horsepower 396 cubic inch engine with aluminum cylinder heads and a higher compression ratio that was actually horsepower rated the same as the L78 396, but weighed around 75 pounds less. Going fast wasn't cheap back then either. How quick was it? A quarter mile could get eaten up in 13.6 seconds at a speed of 105 miles per hour. To put an SS in your life in 1968, $4,600 needed to be handed over to the Chevy man. To live the L89 life these days, it would cost about $137,000, a relative bargain compared to the other big dollar rarities on this list. When Ford decided to mix horses and snakes together in 1968, they came up with the Mustang GT with a 428 Cobra Jet engine and snagged the number 3 spot on our list. For the 1968 model year, Ford knew that they had to come up with more potent powertrains for the Mustang to remain competitive with the newly debuted Camaro and Firebird and refreshed Charger. For that mission, they offered the Mustang with a 428 cubic inch R-Code Cobra Jet engine with ram air induction, cylinder heads with larger valves, and a race-spec intake manifold. Output was rated at 335 horsepower by the automaker, but, as underrating was customary back then, actually produced around 410 horsepower. Quarter-mile times for this horse-snake hybrid were 13.5 seconds at 106 miles per hour as it crossed the line. Ford asked for $3,900 to make it your own back in 1968. To do that today at auction, make sure you bring the big dough, as the R-Code Mustang GT goes for around $151,000. If it's a Hemi, it's got to be good. Coming in at number 2, this Charger RT is great. Dodge changed the Charger body style from this to this in 1968, and in doing so, created a muscle car icon. Arriving with the 440 cubic inch engine as standard from the factory, the order sheet could be checked to replace it with the 426 cubic inch 425 horsepower Hemi, of which 475 people did in 1968. This Hemi Charger is not only beautiful and rare, it's also quick, blowing through the quarter mile at 13.5 seconds at 105 miles per hour. With some decent rubber and race tuning applied, it could probably beat that time easily. All you needed to take one home with you in 1968 was the need for speed and $4,200. Of course, they are most desirable these days in the collector car world and can get around $215,000 at auction for an all-original pristine Hemi Charger. And we've finally arrived at number 1. This was the first year for the redesign of the iconic Corvette as it transitioned from its C2 body style to the Mako Shark concept car inspired C3 version. Chevrolet smacked it out of the park with a timely and athletic design that included a choice of 2 327 cubic inch engines and 5 427 cubic inch engines. The top dog for this year was the L88 427 cubic inch engine, underrated at 430 horsepower, but actually offered up around 560 horsepower. At the time, Chevrolet was discreet about the L88 package even being available and discouraged people from buying it for street driving, as it wasn't equipped with a choke to help with cold starts and required 103 octane racing fuel for its high compression, aluminum cylinder head engine. At the racetrack, it would devour the quarter mile in 13.3 seconds at 108 miles per hour. To get this performance king in 1968, it would set you back about $5,600. 55 years later, these go for around $535,000 to put this legend in your garage. That's it for now. We hope you enjoyed the video, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.